Hello everyone, Raising Khan here once again. So yeah, thank you guys once again for all the support that I've received on the channel thus far. I just uploaded the second part of the Gen Z childhood trauma iceberg video, and that has received so much love and support and just like a ton of views. I'm just joking. So far it has like 12 views last time I checked, and that's after about a little more than a day. So I mean, it's not like a runaway success, but I mean, that's still better than zero, and I think, and I'm still grateful for the each and every person that has just watched the video, all 12 of those dudes. So yeah, it could be worse, but yeah, you just gotta, when it comes to the YouTube thing, I think even if your videos aren't a runaway success at first, you just keep working on them, just keep on posting, just keep on just don't lose hope, keep on doing what you're doing, and so on and so forth. So yeah, but yeah, as I've said, thank you so much for the support I've received so far, and yeah. But in this video, I'm gonna be doing another mediocre movie review, and this is off the back of the last movie review I did, which was, what did I review? Zoom. Oh yeah, Zoom from 2006 with Tim Allen or whatever. Yeah, that movie review was a big chunk of that was just rambling, and as I mentioned before, like these movie reviews, like although like they're my opinion, although they're like, just like what I, just they're just like for fun for me. Like they're not really. What do I mean to say? I don't know. I gotta cut that. But yeah, these movie reviews, they're really not meant to be like something. Like big. Clearly I don't spend that much time on them. Like as soon as I watch a movie, I just go ahead and start the review. Not really scripted or anything. And yeah, this video isn't really going to be edited that much either. It's going to be pretty garbage in terms of editing and stuff. And throughout this video, you're going to hear a bunch of ums and uhs. Because as I said, there's no script. So yeah, these videos are just for fun, and even though they're pretty bad, I hope that at least a couple people, kind of like what I have to say, or just find maybe some of my comments to be entertaining or funny or whatever. But who knows? Maybe everyone hates it. On my last movie review, it was kind of like 50-50. I got one like, one dislike. So pretty mixed, but mixed is better than outright rejection. So yeah. I'm gonna get right into it, and for another fair warning is that a big chunk of this video is probably gonna be rambling as well, but it's whatever. So yeah, after reviewing Zoom the other day, I figured like I'd go about reviewing another movie that was received also rather terribly, or better said, extremely terribly, and that film is Adam Sandler's Jack and Jill, which came out in 2011, I believe. I'm trying to remember if the movie came out. I'm trying to remember if I watched the movie in theaters. I was like 9 years old, and I don't know if I did, but I know I definitely watched it like at least like on video or something like that. Not too long after it came out in theaters. So I probably watched it on like Redbox or something, or maybe even Blockbuster, because there were still a few Blockbusters back then in 2011 or so. So the movie won a bunch of Razzie Awards, which isn't a good thing. And it got like 3% on Rotten Tomatoes, a whopping 3%, which is worse than Zoom did, and Zoom was really bad. But I think that's actually rather harsh, as I have a sort of soft spot for this film. I kind of like the film. I kind of like a lot of the scenes. I think they're pretty funny. But yeah, I'm gonna get into why that is, why I like the film, and what scenes I enjoy right after I take another sip of milk. Yeah, I like drinking milk. Milk is pretty good. On another note, it is super hot in here. I'm recording in our family's office room, and it's like 1,000 degrees, even at 11:30 at night. I mean, the weather in LA these past few weeks has just been, or the past month or so, has just been really bad, and it's terrible. It's horrendous, and but anyway, back to the film. The film did okay at the box office, as it is an Adam Sandler movie, and people will still watch it despite the the low critical response. I really don't think there are that many. Yeah, most Adam Sandler films really don't have the best reviews. But if you look at the box office numbers for each of them, they all do rather well despite that. So even, I guess he's just invulnerable to bad reviews and such, except with the few select films of his that got bad reviews but also did poorly at the box office. But yeah. So yeah, getting to the actual plot of the movie, Adam Sandler is like an advertisement executive in this. So there are a lot of instances of product placement and all kinds of celebrity cameos. As the film opens up with Regis Philbin in a Pepto-Bismol commercial, and there's this like funny looking stomach who is puppeteered by Dana Carvey. So yeah, good to see that guy in something again. But yeah, so the main conundrum in the film is that the advertising company might lose Dunkin' Donuts as a client, and Dunkin' Donuts really wants Al Pacino to star in a commercial to promote the Dunkachino, which is just pretty funny. I think that's hilarious. That's one of the parts of the movie that I really love, just the Dunkachino, and that comes back in an excellent fashion later on in the film. But yeah, on another note, I haven't been to Dunkin' Donuts in years. Like, it's alright, but it's not the best donut place in the world by any means. But I guess everyone knows that. And two, it's more of an East Coast thing, and just people in LA don't seem to really say like, oh yeah, I'm going to Dunkin' Donuts. Like, I've never heard anybody say that. Like, oh, where are you gonna get your breakfast? Oh, Dunkin' Donuts. Never, not once have I heard anybody say that. But yeah, it's a East Coast staple rather than LA Cosa. But yeah, so Thanksgiving is coming up, and Adam Sandler is a little stressed because of the Al Pacino thing, but he's also really stressed because of another thing. And he knows the big guns are gonna arrive. The cavalry's showing up, and that's of course Adam Sandler in drag, who plays Jill. She's gonna come. Jill is coming to Thanksgiving, and Jill and Jack, they don't really have a good relationship, so Adam really isn't looking for Jack isn't looking forward to it at all. So yeah, like they hate each other. Well, actually no, they don't hate each other. It's just Jack that hates Jill, or at the very least, just really dislikes her being there. Well, I'm sure like he loves her as a sister and everything, but they don't like it. He doesn't like the fact that she's gonna be there because he finds her like super duper annoying. But yeah, I need to breathe. I need to get better at that, like talking and breathing at the same time. That is a skill that I've yet to master. But yeah, so Thanksgiving is coming up, and Adam Sandler, as I said, he's stressed and all that. So he goes to the airport to get Jill, and Jill is this larger than life woman, and she has a thick Brooklyn accent, and she has a bird that does funny stuff in the movie occasionally. I like the bird. I think the bird is kind of funny. He says like funny lines like "I need a man," and so she's a bird. It's a bird, so she just repeats whatever Jill says. So yeah, he says, "I need a man," and then a few other things, and so on and so forth. But yeah, I love the antics that Jill gets in. She leaves a huge sweat stain whenever she sleeps, and yeah, and then we get to dinner, and Jill begins to eat dinner and says a lot of rude, obnoxious comments at the dinner table. And then they got this kid who puts tape on himself, and I thought that was kind of humorous. It was kind of unnecessary, but it was kind of humorous, I guess. But yeah. And then during this like dinner table scene, like they try to find out if they have magical twin powers, because they, I don't know, like the family members saw it on 60 Minutes or something that these twins have magical twin powers. So they're like, hey, let's try it out. So during this scene, Jill gets like punched in the face. that was pretty funny. I love the slapstick in this way. The slapstick is hilarious, I think. So yeah. And then they also try to find out, like they figure out like if they can finish each other's sentences, and Jack says, so they try it out, and Jack says like, I'm tired, so I'm going to. And Jill responds with the supermarket, and I thought that was a pretty funny response, because she goes to the supermarket because you got all the cold air from the produce, and that wakes you up. It's a silly line, I think, but I think we all have those family members that do quirky stuff like that, and eventually Jack gets tired of Jill and yells at her, and yeah, she just leaves, and she's sad and crying and stuff, and it's pretty sad. You know, I feel bad for Jill. And the next scene shows Al Pacino having a breakdown at a play, and he essentially humiliates himself by, you know, just calling out people in the audience because they're on their phone or whatever. And, you know, since Al Pacino's just publicly humiliated himself in front of the whole world, the ad agency now believes that they can get him for the Dunkin' Donuts commercial because, you know, like, you know, he's in a point where, you know, I guess the star power has been reduced because of all the, you know, just all the negative press and all that. But yeah, it's a pretty funny scene, seeing Al Pacino lose his mind here. And Eugenio Derbez is also in this. He plays a guy named Felipe who works with the family and just does stuff around their yard and all that. And he has a running gag where he says something iffy and like, I guess somewhat offensive. And then he says, "I'm kidding." And that was also a pretty funny gag, I think, you know. It's not that funny, but I guess it can be funny. But he plays a pretty big role in the film, and I'll get back to him a little later. But yeah, besides all that, to Jack's disappointment, Jill is going to stay with them for a longer time period than expected. She's going to stay till Hanukkah, which that wasn't the plan before. She was originally going to stay until, like, I think just Christmas. But yeah, she's going to stay. Oh, wait, no. That's wrong, because I'm pretty sure Hanukkah ends before. When does Hanukkah end? When does Hanukkah... Yeah, Hanukkah ends December 22nd. So, okay, so she wasn't going to stay until Christmas anyway. So she's going to stay until the end of Hanukkah or whatever. So and then like, Jack is like pissed because he didn't want her to stay for that long. But yeah, it leads to all sorts of misadventures because now Jill is hanging out the Adam family, Adam Sandler's kids, and they're doing all sorts of crazy stuff all over LA. She ends up on The Price is Right, for instance, and she ends up like hitting her head on the prize wheel, and they just give her a bunch of prizes to make up for it. And yeah, that was hilarious. I think that was just the slapstick humor. The slapstick humor in this movie is just so good. I just really like it. And yeah, Jack and Jill, they didn't go to a movie theater and they fight some more. And then after that, Jill says like she's gonna stick around even longer than, you know, even past Hanukkah. And then Jack is like, he's pissed because he's like, I didn't expect her. Excuse my language. He's really angry because he didn't want her to stay for nearly that long. And then Jack resolves that the only way to get rid of her is by getting her a boyfriend or something. So she then decides to try like online dating. But yeah, but I digress. Going on to the next scene, Shaquille O'Neal shows up for a bit too, and it's pretty ridiculous. But I like anything that Shaq shows up in. So yeah, I guess Shaquille O'Neal and Adam Sandler are just like good friends like that. You know, they just shows up in his movies and stuff. He's also in Grown Ups too. But I'm guessing a few others that I. Oh wait, he was in what else was he in? What other Adam Sandler movie was he in? Oh, he was in shoot. It was Blended. He was also in Blended. He played like his coworker or whatever. But yeah, I digress. But yeah, unfortunately, Jill doesn't get any matches on the dating website because people are mean and they just don't like her. And yeah, people are just mean, and she doesn't get any matches on the dating website, unfortunately. So Jack has to find a way to spice up her profile, and he does. He puts in like these really, I guess, tantalizing things on her profile and says, oh yeah, she's like a hot model or whatever. That's what he puts on the profile and stuff. And because of that, she gets like 1 billion matches or whatever. And she ends up going on a date with Norm Macdonald. And the date scene is one of the best scenes of the movie. And I love the look of terror on Norm Macdonald's face as Jill comes down the stairs. It's hilarious to me. Yeah, and then Norm Macdonald, ditches her at the diner they go to, and then he's on the roof of the restroom like Spider-Man. But yeah, he's on the roof of the restroom like Spider-Man to avoid Jill. But yeah, I feel bad for Jill. You know, she doesn't deserve that. But Jill, but yeah, the scene is definitely quite funny. So now to make up for setting her up on this terrible date, Jack decides to take her to like a Lakers game. Yeah, so they get to the game, and Al Pacino's there, and so is Johnny Depp. So that's another one of the many cameos that this film has. Johnny Depp, he's just there. He's only in this scene, but you know it's still pretty cool cameo. And yeah, and Al Pacino's in disguise because he doesn't want to get recognized. But then he's placed on the jumbo screen, and it's hilarious to watch Al Pacino just like wince as he's placed on the jumbo screen. So yeah, that's also another funny scene. But yeah. So it's definitely a funny scene. Especially any scene with Al Pacino in this movie is hilarious, I think. But yeah, at this game or whatever, Al Pacino gets the hots for Jill because they have so much in common, and he just likes her, and they're both from the Bronx and everything. They just relate a lot. And then yeah, we get to the next scene. Jack and Jill are driving home, and Jill reveals to Jack's shock that she's going to stay until New Year's. And yeah, I need to breathe again. I can't do this. I just can't. I gotta work on that. But yeah. Anyway, how you guys doing? Is everything good with you guys? Leave in the comment section how you guys are doing this week. If you guys are doing well, if anything bad has happened this week, anything really good has happened this week, good news, bad news. Yeah, I'd love to interact with you guys. I doubt that any of you guys are actually watching at this point in the video. I'm sure that most of you, if I'm lucky, watched until like the first or second minute and then just dropped off the video. But I hope that there's a few people out there watching this and that they've made it to this point in the video. We're already like 17 minutes in and we still got more to go. Yeah, these movie reviews, they take a while. But yeah, but I digress. So there's a birthday party, and Al Pacino is there, and he keeps trying to get with Jill, but she's not into him like at all. And he takes her to his house to get her like a little birthday cake, and they play a game of stickball because they're from New York and everything. They're from the Bronx, and Jill breaks his Oscar prize, which is also a pretty funny scene because Jill's like, you have more of those, right? And then Al Pacino's like, you think it, but I don't. I wonder if actually wonder if that's true. That I guess it is true that Al Pacino only has one Oscar. Maybe he's received more since the movie came out. Maybe he's received more since Jack and Jill came out. Because after all, Jack and Jill came out in like 2011. So maybe he's won an Oscar since then. But I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah. Where was I? I forgot. What was I talking about? But yeah. She hates Al Pacino, and she ends up like leaving. She ends up leaving his house, and she ends up sleeping in the forest by Jack's house because she can't even face Jack or something. And then Eugenio Derbez, he finds her and he's like, he swoops in and he's like, hey, I can cheer you up. I mean, I can take you to my big family picnic, so you can have some fun and stuff. After all, you just had this really bad time with Al Pacino or whatever. And this scene's pretty interesting. Some people feel that this scene is pretty offensive. Because I think at some points it certainly can be. I think the part where the grandma, who I believe is also played by Eugenio Derbez, just in drag or whatever, just a bunch of makeup, gets knocked out. She gets knocked out like 3 times. And they had to revive her with chili peppers. I do think that was a bit much. I don't think they needed to have that little gag in there. I don't think that was very necessary. But overall, yeah, I just don't think that part was necessary. I think that's a bit offensive. But yeah, as a Mexican American myself, I found the scene overall to be rather humorous. And at this party, whatever, she tries Mexican food for the first time, and she can't handle it. And the next scene, she's in the bathroom making a lot of bad noises. I'm sure you can figure out what kind of noises I'm referring to. Just a whole lot of potty humor. in this scene, and that's the one. That's another part of the movie that I won't excuse at all. Like the potty humor, it's just not necessary. But most Adam Sandler films have, a fair bit of potty humor, I think. I'm trying to think of one that doesn't really have that. Just from the top of my head, like Click, that has a few scenes. Like I'm thinking about the scene with him and David Hasselhoff. That's one. Trying to think. Does Little Nicky have any potty humor scenes? Maybe. I mean, in any case, even if it's not potty humor, there's still like a good chunk of, you still find like a good chunk of like tasteless humor in any kind of Adam Sandler film. But it's whatever. That's just his shtick. Yeah. And then there's another scene where Al Pacino loses his mind and he breaks into Jack's house. He breaks into Jack's house and it's so funny. I love this scene because he talks like he's gonna kill Jack. In the scene, he like slightly, not even slightly, he just straight up threatens him. But yeah, it's hilarious. And yeah, he just does a bunch of weird things in this scene too. Like he decides to lie down on the sweat stain that Joe made on her bed. It's hilarious. Yeah, I'm dying over here. But yeah, Al Pacino is only going to agree to this commercial thing unless he can get to Jill. That's the only way he's gonna do this commercial. So Jack is like, okay, I have to put up with Jill for a little longer. And then he's like, well, she's gonna leave soon, so how am I gonna get her to stick around with us for even longer? And he's like, well, they were planning to go like on a cruise ship voyage thing to Europe, and then Adam Sandler is like, he hates the idea of her being with them in Europe and on a vacation and everything, but he's like, I gotta do it so that we can seal this deal with Al Pacino. So yeah, that's the thing. So Jack is on the cruise ship and he calls up Al Pacino and he promises Pacino that Pacino be able to meet with Jill, but Jill doesn't know about this, so he's making promises without Jill even knowing. So we got a problem here. So what's gonna happen when Al Pacino goes to the ship and Jill's not gonna do anything because she didn't agree to any of that. So Jack is like, he's got to improvise, and he's like, he uses the fact that he's the identical twin brother of Jill to his advantage, and he decides to dress up as Jill. LOL. And it's funny to see Adam Sandler in drag here, but yeah. And Al Pacino, he picks her up on a helicopter like some sort of supervillain. And yeah, he's doing shady stuff by shady stuff, not the other word. He's doing shady stuff by dressing up as Jill and pretending to be her. So yeah, and eventually Jill finds out what Jack is doing, and she's obviously really disappointed that he'd go through such great lengths to just to do all that. She's really, she feels really disrespected. She feels really used. She feels all sorts of things. And she just, she's really angry about it and disappointed. And then, some stuff happens. Jack, who's dressed up as Jill, he's like taken to Al Pacino's castle in Spain or whatever. I wonder if he really has like a huge property like that in Spain. But yeah, he's there, and then they fight a little bit, him and Al Pacino, and then Al Pacino Jack, who was still dressed up as Jill, is like, he's like perplexed because he doesn't understand why Al Pacino, someone so famous like him, could love someone as, in his opinion, as annoying as Jill, and he just doesn't get it. And then Al Pacino starts spitting some facts about how nice and kind Jill is, and Jack feels bad, and he runs to return to the ship and make some amends. So yeah, he returns to the ship and whatever, and then he finds out that Jill, she left heartbroken, and she goes back to the Bronx. I'm sorry, I cannot do this. I can't do the whole breathing and talking thing. It's just something that I can't do. But yeah, it's okay. It's alright. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. I'll be alright. It's okay. I'm gonna drink some more milk. You guys drink milk? Leave a comment in the comment section down below if you guys drink milk. But yeah, I digress. So yeah, Jill's back in the Bronx, and this is just horrible. I believe this is over New Year's, and yeah, so she's all alone in the Bronx, and then Jack, he's feeling terrible, so he's like, I gotta go over there too. I need to make amends. So Jack is out there, and he apologizes, and it's really heartfelt. And then there's this last bit with Rob Schneider in drag, and he's beating up Katie Holmes, and then Al Pacino comes back dressed as Don Quixote, and Eugenio Derbez comes back too, and he confesses his love to Jill, and they live happily ever after, and it's quite nice. And then here comes the best part, and then, yeah, that's the end of the film, really. That Jill reconciles with Jack, and they love each other again. The family all loves each other, and she finally has what she's been wanting for for her whole life, which is family. She has her family with with Jack and everything, and they're all together, and they're all on good terms now. But she also has a new family, in the form of Eugenio Derbez and his kids. So yeah, it's a really, I like the ending a lot. And yeah, Al Pacino finally this is the best part of the film. Al Pacino finally comes back, and he finally agrees to be in the commercial, and the Dunkachino commercial is the best scene in the film. I think it's hands down the best scene in the film. And yeah, I'll leave a link to it in the video description. But it's the last scene, and it's the best scene. It's the very best scene in the film, I think. So yeah, the movie then ends, and yeah. So yeah, what did I think about this movie? This film, it's not a great film. At the end of the day, it's a pretty mediocre, goofy comedy. But I enjoyed the message, and I thought I had, some good scenes. I mean, there was some mean-spirited humor, but I think, the end, the message was good. It was a good message to end on, good family theme. I also enjoyed a lot of the scenes with Al Pacino. I think he was the best part of this movie. I think he was hilarious, and he loses his mind to go after and find Jill. There are some scenes that I think are just too ridiculous and should have never been included in the film at all, like the toilet humor and such, and maybe some of the other jokes. But I thought the movie was harmless. It has its good scenes. It's just regular old mediocre goofy comedy. As I said, it's nothing too bad, I think. And yeah, that's why it gets a 6 out of 10 from me, which ain't too bad in my book. That's pretty good. And yeah, thank you for putting up with me for the past however many minutes. So let's see how long this is running at. 28 minutes? Dang, that's crazy. Yeah, anyway, thank you for putting up with me for the last, 28 minutes or so, and I appreciate y'all a lot. And as I said, these videos are kind of filler. Most of it is just me rambling. Not most of it, but part of it, like at least a third of this video was just me rambling on and on and on. But yeah, I really appreciate you all for checking out this video. So yeah, much love to you all. Thank you so much, and God bless you all. And yeah, it is 12 a.m. now. It just turned 12, and I'm still drinking this milk. And yeah, maybe I'll go to sleep soon, but probably not, because I have a horrible sleeping schedule. But yeah, thank you guys once again, and God bless you all. Yeah, I'll see you later.